May 1945. The war is over. Germany has surrendered. The Nuremberg trials are being organized. The Allies have promised that every single Nazi war criminal will face justice. Every single one. Except one man did the math. He looked at the wanted lists with his name at the top. He looked at the death sentence Belgium had already issued for him. He looked at the gallows being prepared at Nuremberg. And he decided that none of that applied to him. He stole a plane. He flew across Europe. He crash-landed on a beach in Spain with his aircraft in flames around him. And then he did something that should have been impossible. He just lived for 49 more years, in a villa by the sea, in the sunshine, unpunished. His name was Leon Degrelle, and this is the story of the most audacious escape from justice in the history of the Second World War. Here is what the last hours of Leon Degrelle's war looked like. An airfield in Norway, May 1945. The Reich has ceased to exist. SS officers all around him are burning their uniforms and burying their rank insignia, and trying to look like ordinary German soldiers who are just following orders. Degrelle is not interested in that strategy. He knows what is waiting for him if he surrenders. Belgium has already sentenced him to death in absentia. His face is on every Allied wanted list. There is no version of this that ends with him walking free. So he finds a Heinkel. He-111 bomber. He loads it with as much fuel as it can carry. He climbs into the cockpit with a small group of companions, and he points it south. The flight is terrifying. The weather over the North Sea is brutal. The plane is overloaded and struggling. Somewhere over the Bay of Biscay, the engine begins to lose power. Below him is the cold Atlantic. If he goes down there, he drowns. Nobody finds him. Nobody even knows where he is. He pushes south, harder. The Spanish coast appears. San Sebastian, a beach. He brings the plane down with no runway, no clearance, no anything. Just sand and speed, and a desperate, controlled crash. The fuselage breaks apart. Both engines catch fire. Degrelle is thrown forward and breaks bones and burns his hands and tears something in his chest. He climbs out of the wreckage. He is in Spain. He is alive. He has just escaped justice for the next half-century. Now here is the part that most people miss. Degrelle did not crash-land in Spain by accident. He chose Spain, deliberately, precisely, because he understood something that the Allied powers were already beginning to understand in May 1945. The Cold War was coming. Franco's Spain was officially neutral, but Franco had sent 50,000 Spanish volunteers to fight alongside the Germans on the Eastern Front. His regime was ideologically aligned with everything Degrelle had fought for. And more importantly, Franco was about to become useful to the Western powers as a bulwark against Soviet expansion in Southern Europe, which meant that pressing Franco too hard on the question of one Belgian war criminal was going to become diplomatically inconvenient very quickly. Degrelle had calculated all of this. He was not just a soldier. He was a politician. He understood how power worked. The moment Spanish emergency services pulled him from the burning wreckage on that beach, Degrelle requested political asylum. Franco said yes. Belgium screamed for extradition. Spain said no. The Allies applied pressure. Spain said no again. And within 2 years, the Cold War had made Franco too important to antagonize over something as minor as one escaped Belgian fascist. Degrelle had read the situation perfectly. He always did. Most war criminals who escaped justice after 1945 spent the rest of their lives hiding. False names, remote locations, constant fear of discovery. Men like Josef Mengele spent decades running from country to country, terrified, isolated, never able to stop moving. Degrelle did none of that. He lived in Spain under his own name, his real name, Leon Degrelle, the name that appeared on the Belgian death warrant, the name that was in every Allied intelligence file. He gave interviews to journalists. He wrote books. He corresponded openly with neo-Nazi organizations across Europe and America. He attended events. He appeared on television. He told anyone who would listen that Hitler had been the greatest man of the 20th century, that the Holocaust was a lie, that if the Reich had won the war, everything would have been better. He said this on camera, in print, under his own name, from his villa in Marbella. And nothing happened. Belgium demanded extradition. Spain refused, again and again, for decades. The Belgian death sentence eventually expired. The political will to pursue him evaporated. The world moved on to other things. Degrelle stayed in his villa and watched it all from the Spanish sunshine. In 1945, right after the war, the Allied powers had a choice. They could have threatened Franco with real consequences for sheltering Degrelle: economic sanctions, diplomatic isolation, military pressure. They chose not to, because by 1946 they needed Franco more than they needed Degrelle. Spain sat at the entrance to the Mediterranean. It controlled access to Gibraltar. It was a Catholic country, with a strong anti-communist military regime right on the border of France. The Americans needed Spain in the coming Cold War. Pressing too hard on one Belgian fascist was not worth the cost of that relationship. So they let it go. And Degrelle understood what this meant better than anyone. It meant he was safe. Completely safe. As long as he stayed in Spain and Franco stayed in power, nothing could touch him. He was right. Franco died in 1975. Democratic Spain inherited the problem of Degrelle and did nothing with it either. By then he was nearly 70 years old. The witnesses to his crimes were dying. The political urgency had faded. The world had other things to worry about. He stayed in his villa. In 1985, a Belgian journalist traveled to Marbella to interview Degrelle. He found an elderly man in a well-appointed villa. Sharp mind, good memory, no regrets. Degrelle spoke for hours. He talked about the Eastern Front as the great adventure of his life. He talked about Hitler with something that sounded genuinely like love. He denied the Holocaust with complete confidence. He said the death toll figures were fabrications. He said the camps were labor camps, not death camps. He said all of this on camera, comfortably, without fear, because there was nothing to fear. The journalist asked him if he regretted anything. Degrelle thought about it. He said no. He said if he could do it all again, he would do every single thing exactly the same way. Then he smiled. And that smile is perhaps the most disturbing image to come out of the entire story of Leon Degrelle. Not the Eastern Front, not the escape, not the 50 years of impunity. That smile. The smile of a man who knows he won. Leon Degrelle died on March 31st, 1994. 87 years old. Natural causes, hospital in Malaga, no handcuffs, no courtroom, no justice of any kind. Simon Wiesenthal, who had spent his life hunting Nazi war criminals, called Degrelle one of the great unpunished. The Belgian government issued a statement expressing regret. That was it. Here is the number that matters. Between 1945 and 1994, 49 years, the combined governments of Belgium, France, Britain, the United States, and Democratic Spain could not or would not bring one man to justice for crimes he committed openly, documented extensively, and never once denied. He did not hide. He did not run. He did not pretend to be someone else. He just stayed in Spain and dared the world to come and get him. And the world blinked every time. The Nuremberg trials were supposed to establish a principle that there is no escape from crimes against humanity. That power and politics cannot protect a man from justice forever. Leon Degrelle spent 49 years proving that principle wrong. He died in his bed, by the sea, in the sun. And that is the part of this story that should make every one of us deeply uncomfortable, because it means the system that was supposed to guarantee justice after the worst war in human history had a gap in it. And one man found it and walked right through.